So my name is David MacDonald. I am an advanced certified Rolfer, and Rolfing is one of these words that confuse people. The origin of Rolfing is from Dr. Rolf, Dr. Ida P. Rolf, who do have a photograph. Dr. Rolf, she received her PhD in 1920 at Columbia. She was a biochemist and clearly a female pioneer. She looked at the biochemistry of human connective tissue, why people aged the way they aged was really her inquiry, and from 1920, from the time she received her PhD until 1950, she traveled all over the world. She researched, she explored what people were doing with healing methods, yoga in particular, and eventually realized that we needed to look at the body as a structure in gravity. And she recognized that many people, their structure collapsed as they got older. And what could she do to alleviate that? She found that the connective tissue matrix, as we would call it, all the way through the body, it's like a wetsuit that you have on, which has become twisted and tight, and you put another wetsuit on top, and so there's multiple layers and matrices through the wetsuits which have all got twisted and tight and form what we call posture, what she would call structure. And so her work she wanted to call structural integration, the integration of the human structure in the field of gravity. She couldn't trademark the name, she had to call it something, so we end up with the word Rolfing. And in a simplistic way, because her work was simple, she simply said, if the body is structured fundamentally well in the field of gravity, it will function better. Obviously an imaginary line, but it depicts how the force of gravity is organized throughout the various segments of the body, and how that we distribute the weight appropriately so that we're ideally organized, as opposed to the individual on the left who has for some reason either become twisted or contorted or constricted in the field of gravity as an adaptation mechanism, perhaps genetically, perhaps an accident history, many of the different influences. What in Lily actually happens more than it does for many people is that we're getting this beautiful span. Everything is arcing the way we would like to see it. Each individual muscle group is doing its job of holding everything together, allowing everything to move apart. We've got the straightness primarily all the way through, and we've also got the appropriate curvatures. Now we also feel that there's a little place here where that we could get more space in there. There's probably a little constriction in there. There's probably a little more space down here. So if we were actively working, what we would be doing is lengthening as she is coming forward. And this is a beautiful position to work with the length of the spinal musculature. And then gradually come back up. And again, look at that, the awareness of coming back up segment by segment by segment, how the spine was designed to move. Looking at here is really the lateral part of the body, the rib cage, the shoulder girdle, and the length of this lateral compartment as it goes into the pelvis. And this is where, as individuals, we can compress. We tend to get short in the side. So all the tissues that are related to these structures we are working on. The spine, it's the line of organization. It's the relationship between the individual and the large universe around or within, or the combination thereof. That there's no one part that is separate from anything else. So we are always looking at architecture, divine architecture, relationship to gravity, an awareness of the whole system. See, when I come down here and I get hold of Lily's ankle, when I relate, I can get hold of her neck from down here. All I'm doing here is very gentle, subtle traction on the ankle itself, because all of a sudden her neck is moving. So what am I touching here? The ankle or the neck? Or everything in between? What is the potential of this individual if we can free him from the restriction, allow him to stand in his own space, organized in the field of gravity? Who will he become? And that was a profound questioning that was behind everything that Dr. Rolf did, although the mechanics would very often take center stage, because people love to have things fixed. If they're in pain, they love to be out of pain, and she would certainly address that. But always behind it, I think, was a deeper inquiry about the human condition.